someone who is gone when I was right there.
It was
But I
too
have to
quick, bro.
wonder, back then, was she anything like Sage is now?
I mean, this is introspection that was unheard of before this game. The voice acting from Mike Pollock is so good, it's clear that despite his pretty horrendous views on Palestinians, he has cemented himself, at least for me, as the voice of Eggman. And of course, we also have...
Oh my... you know what? Nope. Now that I heard that, I'm clicking out of it. Nope. Nope, 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 nope. Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done.
Good, because she just ran into the most annoying thing to happen in fandom. People who make everything about politics, even if the subject is a blue fucking hedgehog. And yet somehow they still find a way to make everything about themselves. Look, we know the score. This isn't just Sonic. At this point, it's everything. It's Star Wars, it's Dragon Ball, it's Persona, hell, it's goddamn Dungeons and Dragons. Same pattern every time. Take a thing that was loved by a niche community, it goes mainstream, nameless, faceless anime profile pictures of the internet start waxing pseudo-philosophical about why this thing is basically Marxist propaganda, and how that's good, actually. But Sonic? Sonic is where the mask slips, because the character is so simple. The manipulation becomes obvious. So let's make one thing clear right away. Sonic was never political. People are projecting politics onto Sonic, but to successfully do that, you need to take it further. You need to enact the classic tactic of historical revisionism to pretend it was always there. This idea for a video has been brewing in my head for a while now, but what happened to Mia was the straw that broke the camel's back. VTuber Sonic fan who I don't even know, but DM's open girly, would love to talk to you, is reacting to a video about Sonic the Hedgehog when suddenly...
I mean, this is introspection that was unheard of before this game. The voice acting from Mike Pollock is so good, it's clear that despite his pretty horrendous views on Palestinians...
What?
The fuck that gotta do with Sonic? Nothing. Like, that's not analysis. It's not critical thinking in action. It's honestly not even an attempt at witty or an irreverent joke. It's literally just ideological intrusion. For no reason beyond, hey viewers, gotta remind you guys I'm on the right side of history, and I'll do that by disparaging a man I don't even know. Oh, and by the way, clip plug, I do know Mike Pollock. He was on the show. We interviewed him for about an hour and a half. Great dude, check that out, but back to the video. This was just about the voice actor. Wait until you see the way they attempt to rationalize the politics of the franchise in general. Sonic the Hedgehog, the franchise that's known for its environmentalist themes, isn't political. Wait, so now don't destroy nature is a political manifesto? Yeah, homie, that's not politics. That's just like sort of common sense. Even the right wing, who you hate oh so much, aren't pro let's destroy the planet. They just frame the environmentalism argument differently than you. Not that that's neither here nor there, but what about this gold right here? Keep politics out of my video games. In 2008's Sonic Unleashed, the flag representing Eggman Land is directly based on Nazi Germany. Games have always been political. You're just stupid. Yep, I guess Red Banner this is Nazi symbolism. My brother and Kami. That's not symbolism. That is basic visual shorthand for cartoon villain is evil. And it's hilarious because they try to come off as intellectually superior to those of us who are just like, yeah, we enjoy the Blue Rat Go Fast game, without even realizing that all they're doing is saying out in the open that they have such a surface level understanding of artistic shorthand to convey a general theme that they need to pour over it like they're Indiana Jones looking for the Holy Grail, trying to uncover some hidden meaning that the rest of the world was too stupid to understand. And then there's this completely rational line of thinking. Sonic is political. The environmentalist angle is political. Sonic Adventure 2 is literally about government and conspiracy and the lengths they'll go to in order to hide the truth from the public. To say Sonic is not political is to out yourself as a LARPer. Yes. Yes, you are correct. Sonic Adventure 2 does have secret labs. You are 1 for 1 on facts. Good job. Gold store. However, no, that doesn't mean this game is making a statement about modern governments. In fact, if it did mean that, then Resident Evil has been the king of the secret labs as a mechanism for explaining why leftist politics are superior genre since 1990 goddamn 6. No, rather than Sonic Adventure 2 having a government cover-up be political allegory, maybe it's just what is simply referred to as a plot? Yo, chat, fact check me on whether I'm pronouncing that correctly. But all of this leads to their ultimate thesis statement. The philosophy is so devoid of any nuance or rational line of questioning and, ironically, a lack of media literacy. God, I hate that fucking term. All art is inherently political. Cool. You got me there, bud. You're right. All art's political. Except if that's the case, then nothing is. Because if everything is political, the word means nothing. Mario's political. Pokemon's political. Goddamn Tetris is political. You didn't prove anything aside from your side has one particular skill. The art of making words useless. So let's slow this down because this is where the entire argument starts playing word games. When people say Sonic is political, what do they actually mean? Because political used to mean things like actual governments, policy debates, real-world ideologies. You could even say commentary on those specific things. But note the word specific. Because now, it means there's a good guy, there's a bad guy, someone values freedom. And to be fair, even their idea of what freedom means can be debated, since it often just boils down to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with zero consequences, otherwise you're being oppressed. But this video isn't about the nature of freedom, so I digress. The point is, these aren't the traits of politics. They're the traits of basic storytelling. So let's use the correct word here instead of politics. Themes. Sonic does have themes like freedom versus control, nature versus industrialization, individual versus authority. But just because these themes exist in the narrative doesn't inherently make them political statements. In fact, in the context of Sonic the Hedgehog, they very blatantly aren't political statements. No different than any other piece of classic literature dating all the way back from ancient Greece to Mark Twain in the Great American Novel. In fact, if you want proof that these are universal narrative themes, look at The Lord of the Rings, one of the greatest stories ever told by a man. There's themes of nature versus industrialization all throughout it, specifically with the Scouring of the Shire. Now, does that automatically make The Lord of the Rings a left-wing political think piece?
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Yeah, obviously the fuck not. So why would Sonic be any different? I mean, yes, I get it. It's weird to compare The Lord of the Rings and Sonic the Hedgehog, but the core is the same. A theme is not an ideology nor a political statement. It's just a framework for telling a story. And that's where they're going to pivot. They'll say, okay, but those themes are political, and even this is wrong, because these themes exist everywhere. Beyond my Lord of the Rings comparison, you got freedom versus control, which is every action movie ever. You got authority versus the individual, basically every hero story ever, and all this should really go to show is if a theme shows up in everything, then it's not fucking political. It's human. Or, I guess in the case of Sonic the Hedgehog, anthropomorphic. See, here's the difference they don't want to admit. A story becomes political when it says, this specific system is bad. This real-world belief is correct. You should think this way about current events. But Sonic never does that. Ever. In fact, I dare you to show me a single game in the franchise that does. So what's actually happening? Well, they see a theme, they map their ideology onto it, then they say, see, it's political. You know, we used to have a word for this before 2-hour YouTube video essayists who couldn't hack it as novelists found a new way to flex their Stanford University liberal arts degree. Projection. Now, with all this being said, let's take a moment to talk about Sonic himself. Not the franchise as a whole, but the individual character. Loves freedom, hates oppression, helps people. These usurpers will constantly pass this single image of Sonic's personality from a game booklet around, using it as undeniable proof that he would have voted for Kamala Harris and murdered Netanyahu, claiming that's why they love him. His ideology. Brother, loving freedom and hating oppression isn't an ideology. It's just basic heroic traits. In fact, the most basic, if you take away the picture of Sonic, then this is just Superman. Or Spider-Man, or fucking Doom Guy. Basically every protagonist ever written. And that's the uncomfortable part. The games themselves they're actually mostly consistent. I mean, I get it. We've had to deal with some censorship in the remasters, which is annoying, and you can make an argument about Sega leaning into the ideology on that front. But hey, that's why I said mostly consistent. The modern extensions, though, the IDW comics, the modern writers working for IDW, the online discourse, with all of them, everything is interpreted politically. Everything is framed ideologically. And as fans, we notice. In fact, not only do we notice, we push back. This is where these flag in the bio termites are going to try and gaslight you. See, right-wing fans are making it political too. No. Take your obvious bad faith false equivalency argument and your room temperature IQ to boot elsewhere, because there's a difference. One side is injecting ideology. The other side is rejecting it. Fans aren't saying, make Sonic more right-wing. They're saying, stop doing this. That's not politicization. That's just pushback. And this is where it gets gross. And I'm not talking Sonic fans on DeviantArt gross, because that's a whole different video. I'm talking, you can't be a fan unless you agree with me. This character supports my worldview. Because that's not fandom. That is false ownership. Which is really ironic, since these people are communists who aren't even supposed to believe in the concept of ownership. You really could take most of the times I've said Sonic, or alluded to the franchise as a whole in this video, and just plug in any other franchise, and it results more or less in the same video. But Sonic is the worst possible target because it's so simple. Fast Hedgehog stops bad guy, saves animals. And people still try to turn that into, actually, this is about my ideology, which proves the point. If they can do it to Sonic, they can do it to anything. In fact, they have done it to just about everything. This is why everything is worse now, because the formula is the same. Take a simple story, inject ideology, claim it was always there, attack anyone who disagrees. That's how you rot a fan base. But even more diabolically, that's how you radicalize a young generation of newcomers into a political belief. 15-year-olds in 1999 were playing Sonic Adventure on the Dreamcast thinking, wow, this is truly next generation gaming. 15-year-olds in 2026 have profile pictures of Sonic and Shadow making out while they have trans flags in their bio, and they shout at you for misgendering Metal Sonic if you use male pronouns, because as a robot, he should be genderless.
This kind of person didn't exist until you invented him 20 minutes ago.
Does that make him any less of a person?
I mean, kind of.
And this is my favorite part, because they don't just say Sonic is political, they say Sonic has always been political. Remember at the beginning of this video when I talked about how the only way for these people to make this work is through historical revisionism? Well, we're here now. Kids who are 17 years old talking on Twitter like they knew what the discussions we were having on the pre-YouTube forums about Sonic Adventure 2 were like, or even dumber sentiments such as we were wrong for talking about the game the way we did back when it came out before they were even fucking born, as if in 2001 we were a bunch of cavemen who just invented the wheel, therefore couldn't possibly understand the modern-day leftist political nuance that Sonic Adventure 2 was trying to convey to us.
I'm gonna be talking shit about you later, but I want to do it right. So why don't you tell me your pronouns?
Unlike you blue-haired liberals, I don't have pronouns.
Because what they're doing is taking modern beliefs, projecting them backwards, then claiming that was always the intent. They have gaslit themselves, and God knows how many others, into believing that this is a fair, and sometimes even factual analysis, when it is nothing more than retroactive fan fiction. So here's a simple test. Take Sonic. Strip away everything except what actually exists in the games. Fasts, saves animals, defeats Eggman. Now ask yourself, where's the politics? Is saving animals inherently right-wing? Is there something about stopping Eggman that says vote Democrat?
What are you, retarded?
There isn't any. Unless you add it, interpret it, or force it. And if we're being completely honest here, it's really only that last one. They force it.
Nope, 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 nope. Yeah, no, I'm done. I'm done.
You know what, Mia? Me too. And more people should be. Sonic was never political. These people just don't know how to stop projecting.